is Aiza Azaar. I play young Jasmine in Descendants, The Rise of Red, and this is Young Entertainment. I'm so excited to be FaceTiming you.
I'm excited to be FaceTiming you as well. Thanks so much for picking up. We're all about masterclass moments, which has been awesome. So what we've been able to do is connect with incredible stars like you and ask like acting questions, what it's like to be an actor, how you got started, all those sorts of things. And then it's really helping young people who want to pursue a career in acting that didn't even know it was really possible, how to go about it. And so it's been this really cool connection that we've been able to make with our audience, and they've been able to make with you guys. So I'm gonna be asking the questions from the perspective of like masterclass moments, acting technique, that sort of thing. So just so you know, like the lens that I'm kind of looking through when I'm asking you these questions. So what is one thing that you always love to do before an audition that helps you to get into character? When I talked to Kylie, she mentioned that she always dresses for the role, even when she's doing like Zoom auditions from home. For Red, I think she wore like a dark leather jacket. She said she had red clips in her hair, red pants. So what about you? What is there one thing that A, you do before an audition, and B, was there anything different that you did for your audition for Descendants Rise of Red that kind of stands out in your mind that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, Teen Jasmine is a unique role in that Jasmine is like, an iconic pre-existing character.
Yeah.
But the way that I usually approach auditions is I know everyone says the way to prep is obviously learn your lines, but I actually found I'm less of a visual learner. I'm more of an auditory processor. So the
Okay.
first thing I do is I will record myself reading the whole script, every line, even the person who would be the reader, their lines as well. And then I just listen to it over and over and over again. And then once I feel like I have the lines down, I'll repeat that process, but in different ways that I want to try and play the character, at least through my voice. And then listen back to how those sound to me. And then, I maybe do a couple takes of those when I actually get to the point where I am recording an audition, because most auditions these days are via Zoom or, recording. So that's usually how I prepare. And what I did for Jasmine, honestly, they didn't hide the fact, like the name for the character was Jasmine. The line was still call us gelatin. So I had a feeling.
Yeah.
So I kind of did the same thing. I did less preparation. It was a very short scene. And I just said it very different ways. There was one take where I kind of said what I said in a sing-song voice. There were parts where I wanted to play it more like I'm in love with the person off screen.
Yeah.
I did it several different ways, but I definitely drew more from the idea that this is a Disney princess. Like, you want to be more animated going into this. So I had, for this role specifically, I definitely had preconceived notions coming in that I wanted to play off of,
Yeah.
but still do what I kind of normally do and try it different ways.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I was just thinking, like, what an epic just opportunity and just the coolest thing ever. Because, like, I was just thinking, like, my princess that I loved growing up, like, ever since I was itty bitty, I loved Cinderella. And then, Cinderella's story comes out, right? Like, when we're growing up, and it's so cool that it's very unique that you get to actually play an iconic Disney character because it's already been done. It's already been played. So the fact that you got to do this and you are so perfect and you just do the most amazing job. What a cool thing. I just love that. That's so special. And then a question for you too, when you're auditioning, so that was very interesting. So do you send in multiple takes of your scene reading that you do for the audition, or do you usually pick one take, or how does that work?
The way that it's worked for me so far is it depends on what they ask of you.
Okay.
Sometimes the casting agency will ask you to send 2 or 3 different takes done different ways, and sometimes they give you creative freedom over that, and you get to make a choice. They tell you the way that they want you to do it. So if that's the case, then I will submit what they ask for. But my process is more like I don't want to get stuck in the same way of doing something over and over again. I feel like it eventually becomes kind of monotonous, at least for me, and I'm less invested in it. And I want that energy to come across in an audition tape. So Yeah, I definitely like, even when the casting agency doesn't ask for multiple takes, I will do multiple takes done different ways, pick the best one and
Okay.
submit.
Cool. I love it. That's amazing. And how I like what you said about being an auditory learner because everybody learns a little bit differently. And that's such a great way to memorize lines. It's very cool. So, what is one technical aspect of acting that you learned during this film that you'll take with you into your next role? And a quick little thing, when we interviewed Kylie, she mentioned that she learned from one of the other actresses that she acts with, I think it was like her inside eye. She said something like that. And so it was very interesting. She explained it that that was something she learned on set and that she started incorporating. So was there anything that you kind of learned or picked up on set that you're like, oh, this is gold and I'm taking this with me?
Oh man, I learned so much on set. I think I learned the most from Kabir, who plays young Aladdin. He definitely leaned in, and it comes across amazingly. He definitely leaned into the physicality of his character. And you know, this, I mean, we were both like dancing and Life is Sweeter kind of with the background dancers, and that was a new experience for me. So most of my castmates have dancing experience or they're strong movers, but this was very new to me. And we had an amazing choreographer, but it was a lot to learn. And so I think not just the physicality of the importance of the physicality of a character and how that is how you come across to the viewer, but also incorporating dance into that. I didn't just draw from my castmates. I got very close with a couple of the dancers, and you know they each kind of had their own character that they had to delve into. The ones who were dancing with the VKs and the ones who were dancing with the good guys or whatever. I think that's definitely what I took away from it, was my first foray into really honing in on the way your body moves and how that aligns with the character that you're trying to convey.
Yeah, totally. That is so cool to hear. And you know what else is cool? I think sometimes, like when we're teaching young people how to get into acting, I feel like obviously it could feel very daunting. And what I kind of took away from what you just said is like you were an expert at acting and doing like you brought so much to the table that obviously you're the one that got the role. But you learned so much in the process still about dancing. It's like you can come to the table and still learn so much. And that is so cool because I think a lot of young people think like, I have to know it all before I ever go on my first audition. It's like, as actors, you're going to be learning for the next 20, 30 years because it's such a creative process. You're continually growing and learning. And so that's very cool. And I'm sure a lot of young people are going to be inspired by what you just shared. Is there one thing that you would whether it's a tip or just even something you think young people should know when they are in the process of getting an agent or trying to get an agent?
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like honestly, I was submitting myself for auditions
You
and
were.
like finding them myself before I caught the attention of some agents.
Mhm.
Um, I would say, there are some better fits than others. Don't just rush into it because someone said, "Oh my God, I'm willing to represent you." Read the fine print, talk to them, make sure that it's a good fit. And even if you think it's a good fit, and then maybe there are some things that come in later on that maybe there's a misunderstanding between the type of projects you want to be submitted for with your agents. Just that open line of communication and maintaining, your boundaries, what's important to you, what kind of career you want, what kind of actor you want to be, what kind of direction you want to grow in. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty important. Like it's not just a one-way relationship where you receive auditions and you do them.
Mm.
You want to be talking to your agents too, and that goes as well for when you're shopping agents, when you're looking for an agent. I think the best advice I could give, and something that I kept in mind when I started this whole thing, was to really take your time with the decision. I think it's a very important relationship, and I know that it can be exciting when somebody approaches you, but it's still important to take your time and make sure you're comfortable and that everyone's comfortable with whatever arrangement it is.
Yeah, that is incredible advice. I do think that it's like we can get so starry-eyed and be like, oh my gosh, somebody wants to rep me, but you could not have said it better. Especially I think that in this industry, it's like, it's such a lot, like you want to build a career that's going to last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, depending what age you start. So doing it the right way and taking your time and finding representation that really works for you is so brilliant. And I love that you said you self-submitted for a lot of things. I don't think a lot of young people even know that they can do it. And that is so true. You can start on your own. You can build that momentum. And then, like you said, catch the attention of an agency. So I love that. And that will be very inspiring for our audience. The next few questions are about some of the actors that you worked with on this project. Anything that you learned, or just even if it wasn't something you learned, but something that you enjoyed in terms of acting with these incredible actors, just like yourself on set. So the first one is Kylie Cantrell.
Oh my God, Kylie is the sweetest. Let's see. I mean, Gelatin is Gelatin. We're kind of off in our own world, but between takes and on the set of Life is Sweeter, she was very engaging. She's the glue that like holds everyone together. She's like constantly switched on. She's very loving. She gives amazing advice even after the movie, like the cast has remained close, and Kylie is a powerhouse in this industry already before this movie, and she's always open to giving great advice and and skincare tips. I specifically remember like the first time I really talked to Kylie, like it was like a conversation with her and I and a couple other people, like, well, what's your skincare routine? And I definitely I took a lot of tips away from that, for sure, because yeah, like everyone had different things to say, but it was like a fun little conversation. Like she definitely kept the set. She was definitely the leader among us, for sure, even in social. Yeah.
Like she sounds like she was like the vibe girl, always keeping the vibes up. I love it. What about Joshua Colley?
Josh is the sweetest. So fun fact, like I don't even know if he remembers this, but Kabir and I came in, joined the cast later on, I think closer to the middle of shooting. Okay. Besides table reads, that was the first time that we had met any of the cast. And I remember my first day coming into rehearsals, I was really nervous. I had like a huge imposter syndrome going on. I was like, okay, they've all been hanging out for a while. Like, I'm just gonna I'm also kind of introverted. So I was like, I'm just gonna, keep to myself a little bit. And that's kind of my default. So the cast kind of came in, they're all like chit-chatting and all like hyper from rehearsal and in line for lunch, and they kind of sit on one end of the table. And I just kind of like found an empty seat, like not many people sitting around me, and sat down by myself. And the first person to approach me and be like, oh my God, are you Jasmine? Like, hi, was Josh. And he was so welcoming. He made everyone from the end of the table kind of scoot downwards to like towards me, and like facilitated that first my first meeting with everyone, the first time that I got to know everyone. And that was Josh, who kind of like was so welcoming and opened that door for me. And I will not forget that. Like it might have just been another day for him, but it meant a lot to me, for sure. Like coming in so nervous on my first day.
Yeah, that is so sweet. He sounds like he's very inclusive. Like he loves to include and invite, and I love that. I love when people are like that. I mean, we've all walked into a room and kind of been like, I don't know anybody. And you know what sticks out to me, girl, is that you felt like you had imposter syndrome, which I can relate to that so much, but you are Jasmine. Like you're walking in the room as the Jasmine, and it's just like, I would look at you and be like, oh, there's no way she has an ounce of imposter syndrome, because she has it all. You are Jasmine. And I think that we can all relate to that, because whether it's in acting or not, I mean, it's especially when you walk into a group of people that you're new to, it's intimidating. I don't care who you are, it's intimidating. And so I love that that's your memory of him. That's very special. What about Peter?
Peter is just the most fun.
Yeah.
He's always off in some corner of the world, or flying a plane, or scuba diving in the ocean. And yeah, I love talking to Peter about his interests. He's such a passionate person. He brings so much energy, and he's always down to talk about anything. So I love Peter's energy, honestly. have a bad time talking to Peter. He's just the best.
Oh, yeah, he seems really cool. And he just has like the most vibrant energy. What about Dara Renee?
Dara is a queen. She was our queen, super talented,
Yeah.
and the most insane stamina I've ever witnessed. I mean, obviously, all the girls had to have a great stamina, but when we were working really long days and sometimes into the night, and we had to do certain takes over and over and over again. And Uliana was actually like, it ended up being a very physical role. She never complained once. She kind of, if it was like, if she could keep our energy up, like we had nothing to complain about because she killed it. She brought her energy to every single take. Even got late, people were tired, you know, whenever things were logistically complicated, you know, she would step up. I'm just in awe of her, honestly. Yeah.
And acting is it's so mental. And so just to think about like, doing late nights and doing those takes over and over again, I mean, that's really hard. So that's really cool to learn that about her. What about Ruby?
Ruby is as sweet as sugar. Ironic, she actually has a sugar allergy, but
no.
all characters. But she was super sweet. Like she and Kylie kind of both welcomed me into set, and she was game for anything. You know, she has that amazing lift in Life is Sweeter. I remember them starting to do that in rehearsal, and she was just flying, and she was so excited. And I'm like, well, it's a stunt, basically. That's like such a crazy, vulnerable position to be in. She killed it, obviously.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so fun. What about Morgan?
Morgan. I love Morgan. When I mentioned coming in with imposter syndrome, like my number one cheerleader on set, who I think bonded with a lot, was Morgan. Morgan is the most, I think, genuine, kind person that I've met in a while. She's very, honestly, I think she's quite similar to Ella, to her character, in that kindness being the most important value to hold. And every time that I doubted myself, or every time that there was a moment that I wasn't sure if I should celebrate or not, you know, Morgan was there. She was holding my hand. She was cheering me on. She made me feel good about things that I maybe came in feeling insecure about. Like the first time I heard my voice on the recording, like Morgan was hyping me up, and that meant so much coming from her because she's got the most beautiful voice. Yeah, Morgan is very dear to me.
Oh, how sweet. Sometimes we just need a friend like that to just remind us like, hey, you can, like, and you are enough. And I had a situation last year where I was kind of going through something a little bit like that, a little imposter syndrome. And I had a friend call me and just be like, hey, no, like you can do this. You were picked for a reason. You were chosen for a reason. And it changed everything. And I love that. That's so sweet. She is a girl's girl. I love to hear that. What about Levin?
Who?
Levin? Am I saying his name wrong?
Levin.
Okay.
It cut out. Yeah, no, Levin is great. So obviously, you know, adult Jasmine, adult Aladdin, and then teen Jasmine, teen Aladdin. We're never in the same scene together or anything. So I actually didn't meet Levin until the premiere itself. And honestly, he was so fun. He met my mom. My mom also loved him at the premiere. He has so much energy. Like, honestly, I loved him. He was so great. It was such a nice time getting to know him, and other people too that I didn't meet when we were shooting, but I got to meet at the premiere and I got to see them kill it on screen. Levin was one of those people for sure, as well as Shazia, adult Jasmine. Like they were both leading up to the premiere. We were all kind of trying to see if we could coordinate outfits, or we were just talking to each other for the first time, and then finally getting to meet them and them being such genuine, like especially Levin, such a fun person. Like it was like a breath of fresh air. It was so nice. Like I wish that there was some way that, you know, in some paradox kind of way that like we could have interacted when we were shooting on set, but I'm glad we did get to meet.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And the premiere must have just been so fun for so many reasons, but then just to interact with people that you hadn't really had a chance to before, I mean, that was probably so special. Anything else that you can tell us about like the choreography that you had to do? Like what was, I know that you talked about a little bit earlier, but what was that like? Was there anything that you, I don't know, specifically learned, or just tell us more about it? Because it was so great.
Yeah, well, the choreography was insane. So when I met Ashley Wallen, he's like, "Do you dance?" And I was like, "I mean, a little." Like I had to dance. I had to submit a clip of me dancing to get the role, but not in the way that, you know, these Disney kids, you know, or even people who've done this for much longer than I have, who have like professional training, or maybe worked with Ashley before. I came in to rehearsal week, and all that Kabir and I really rehearsed from the start was the Call Us Gelatin sequence, which we thought was really cute. And it was very much oriented around the cameras and the cameraman and the camera work coming in, which made the blocking very important, which I think was a little different than the way that other sequences in the song were being rehearsed. But honestly, the moment that it really hit me, that I was like, oh, this is Disney, this is a DCOM, was when the VKs were rehearsing their dance sequence, which is, you know, a lot of stomping, like really intense, like I'm not your everyday villain, you know. I had never seen, like, so close to me, like not on a stage, like just in rehearsal, I'd never seen a large group of people moving in perfect unison like that with so much energy. And that's when it kind of hit me, like the nostalgia for, you know, High School Musical, and you know, Ashley Wallen, he choreographed The Greatest Showman. I was thinking of that too. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is incredible. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I get to be a part of this. And then what ended up happening also is that it was never really sure if Jasmine was going to be dancing in any other part of the song. And because it was like up in the air, I learned it anyway, but I kind of learned it with the other dancers. Like I had them show me parts of the song that I was potentially going to be coming in to be a part of. And it was actually on the day that we were shooting those parts of Life is Sweeter that they kind of were like, oh, we have some empty space here. Like we need another dancer. And they had put in Kabir into the song. And then they threw me into the song on the first take, but it was good because I had been practicing. And that was, you know, I'm never going to forget that feeling. It was definitely like a big adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Totally worth it. And I feel so blessed and so grateful being a part of that, you know, even if it wasn't early planned coming in.
It's so cool. It's almost even more fun that way, because you're like, hey, I did it. I was ready when they needed me and I freaking crushed it. I mean, that's so cool. I got chills just hearing that. I love that. Okay, I know I only have a couple more minutes with you and I want to make it count really quick. Can you share, you use the term blocking. So for our audience that maybe doesn't know what the term blocking means, can you give them a little masterclass moment on the definition of that word?
Yeah, so blocking is, it's kind of where you plan out where your actors or your extras even, or even the dancers, where they are going to be in relation to where the cameras are going to be. Because you don't want to have, you know, your back facing the camera. You don't want to be slightly cut off from the frame, things like that. So a lot of times what they'll do, at least in rehearsal, and a lot of times what you don't see because you're not really looking at the floor when you're watching a movie or when you're watching TV, is that there are little pieces of tape on the floor showing you where to stop, where to stand, when you turn, at what point to stop turning. And then the camera and the cameraman, which is also like a pretty hard job. Like the cameramen on our set were very talented. They are aware of where you're going to be, and then they work around that, you know, so that they can get you in the frame to fulfill the vision that, you know, the storyboards and the directors have worked together to create. So, you know, the blocking for Gelatin was like, it was a whole thing. Like we had to, you know, we come in, we're holding hands, that we have to stop at a specific point, The camera is on the other side of Kabir. We have to turn, I think, like 90 degrees in the same direction as the camera, then leave room for the camera to come between us, so that we can get that little heart moment. All of that, like, in the moment with the song playing, it's pretty chaotic if you don't have it blocked out ahead of time. So kind of like, it's a good example, I think, of that concept.
Oh, that was such a good example. And I'm so glad you mentioned this scene, the heart scene, the hand heart scene. Oh, that's perfect. And just to like make sure, so you do blocking during rehearsal, right? And then you shoot it. So it's not like, am I correct in saying that you're not like doing blocking and then filming it in that moment, or are you?
So it depends.
Okay.
We did do like what I just described. We did practice that in rehearsal, but
Okay.
on the day, things change. Like, film set is a very dynamic environment. You can rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse as much as you want, and something's going to change. Something's going to be different on the day of. Like, honestly, like maybe the timing of the song is faster than you expect, or the camera's a little bulkier and we can't get the exact movement that we want, or you know, when you have all the dancers there and all the extras there, and you're actually in, like, our rehearsals were not really in the Audition courtyard set. They were in a separate rehearsal space in a different sound stage. And so well, you know, like, sometimes you'll practice the blocking on the set on the day before you shoot it, and something might not look right, or might not seem right, or might be too complicated, or needs to be adjusted a bit. So it's not unheard of even to have those pieces of tape on the ground when you're shooting the scene, and then maybe they get taken off later, or sometimes they're still there. It all depends on the moment, what's happening.
Wow, that is so interesting. That is so intriguing. Thank you for sharing all that. I want to ask you really quick, at least one fan question, and I think that this will just sum up the interview beautifully. How does it feel to play a role as powerful to the movie industry as Jasmine?
It means the world to me. It was so special, honestly. I grew up obsessed with Disney princesses. My room was Disney princess themed. There are pictures, I posted on my Instagram. There are pictures of me dressed up as Princess Jasmine for Halloween. You know, it's important to me. It's important to my heritage. It meant so much to me, representation wise. And then also, like, there was so much to draw from. There have been so many different iterations of Jasmine. You know, we have the cartoon version, then we have the musical, which is amazing, then we have the live action, which just came out, and I think it's so beautiful that this character has been so beloved and has had so many iterations over so many years. And it never made me feel boxed in either, because knowing what I knew about the Descendants world, you know, there was enough freedom there to, you know, make her a different version of Jasmine, but equally as iconic and beloved. And I'm so grateful. I never took it lightly, and it really just means the world to me, honestly.
That's so cool. And you did an incredible job, and you just must feel so good. It's just so cool. I'm fangirling. You did an incredible job, and exactly everything that you said, so special, something that, you know, you'll remember for the rest of your life, and your grandkids and your grandkids, everybody will be talking about it. So I just think it's so cool.
This was Aiza Azaar. Thanks so much for calling, and it was great to catch up.
It was so good talking to you, girl, and we're so excited to just watch your career, watch you continue to blossom, and see what you do next. It was great chatting.
Yeah, thanks so much.